Okay, I have this aimed down so I can show you how I'm going to do these rolls. We're going to make the dinner rolls while the oil heats up. So we're going to turn this dough into 24 dinner rolls. And if you want to measure them, I have actually weighed the ball of dough, and then I have asked Alexa what that is divided by 24. So each of our rolls needs to be about 1.4 ounces. So I'm going to divide it into 24 parts. So we went 12 and 12. So we have 4, 6, 8, so each one of these needs to be 3. So we divide each of these into 3 parts, and we're just eyeballing it right now, and we'll actually weigh them in a minute, that way that they bake evenly. I usually do this in a little bit different place in the counter, but I want you to be able to see this, so. Okay, then I just go through, I turn my scale on. Let's move this so you can see it. Put the scale on here, tear it out to 0. 1.4, this is 1.8, so I'm going to take a little bit off. I'm going to change the mode. There we go. If you get a scale, you don't need it to have a million different measurements on it. You probably just need grams and pounds and ounces. Close enough. 1.4. It's a little light, like this one's 1.1. I'm just going to add a little bit of dough to it. Okay, so we have them all now measured out. They look like this. Just took a couple moments. And I'm going to take each ball of dough and I'm going to make it into a circle, and I'm going to tuck. I'm tucking as I go along to make a rounded bottom. And I find it easier to do that with some tension against the counter. You don't want the counter to be too oily or it'll just keep sliding. So I'm tension around it. Some people can do this, they can make a little ball with it. I'm just not strong enough to do that, or my nails are too long or something, and I'm just going to put them in 4 by 6. So I'm just rolling this around, shaping it into a ball by tucking it under with my hands, making it into a ball by tucking it under with my hands. You can see I'm just kind of rolling underneath here. I don't know if you can see that. Rolling, rolling, rolling underneath to give it a rounded, tight top. And we're going to do that with all of them. Curling it under like this. I'm rolling it. As I roll it, I'm pulling under, so you get a circle, a ball, sphere, whatever you want to call it. You could just plop them in. They just won't look as pretty on the top. And when I'm not talking, I do them faster. So we're just going to roll all of them like that. And it'll just... Okay, we're going to do those last few. I don't do well at cooking, talking, and videoing at the same time, so I apologize. But you can see that they're almost done here. We're just going to do these last few. And while we're doing this and heating up the oil, the twists, donut twists, are rising a little bit. They don't need to rise to double, but they need to rise pretty much close to double at least, because we want them to be puffy and soft inside. So now our rolls are ready to rise. So we're going to set these aside for about 15 minutes. And I have already set Alexa. She's my timer. While our rolls, our donuts, are rising here. So you can see the donuts rising. Okay, let's see how we're doing here. So I can turn this down a little bit. My vent is really, really loud. So we are got our temperature up now, and we're going to start dropping these in. Anyone can help. Anna wants to help do this. So we're going to drop these in. You can see about the size they are now. We're going to drop in 2 or 3 at a time. Try not to deflate them. Get one more. And you can see here. I don't know what you can see. Let's see. There we go. So you can see them here. They're going to take about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, and we're going to flip them over. You can see here we can flip them over now. Flip them over as they get golden on the one side. This one looks like I had a little bit of an accident flipping it over the first time. We don't want to be too hot or they get too done on the outside before they get done on the inside. So we're going to check it here with our instant read. I would use a candy thermometer, but I managed to ruin my last candy thermometer, so I actually probably want to turn this down just a touch. So I'm going to turn that down 1 number here. And we can flip these one more time. And take them out. Set them here on our paper to cool. Or you can put them on a cooling rack. Alright. We're still flipping and turning and flipping and turning. And Anna is glazing. I probably didn't make the glaze quite thick enough, so we're probably going to use this as an initial glaze just to sweeten the whole outside, and then we'll probably drizzle a thicker powdered sugar glaze over it. But right now I've got too many things going with hot oil to stop and deal with anything else. So we'll leave that like it is. So we have a twist here. We have a twist here. So it doesn't feel quite done. And you can kind of tell when they're done. If they're really floppy, they're probably still too doughy inside. So when you go to pull them up and they actually stand up by themselves, then you have a better idea that they're pretty much done because they're crispier on the outside. And you remember, you want to be really careful with this because this is really, really hot oil. So you want to be careful, especially if you've got any kids near you. You want to make sure that if anybody's helping you and they're younger, that they're staying back. We were just tempted a second ago to just reach in and move something over and then, oh, can't do that. So, and while she does that, let's see if I can, well, you can see here, let me back this up. Y'all are going to pay to get me a videographer, I'm sure. And I'm just going to toss these in the sugar mixture here. Tossing them in sugar so that they're covered a little bit. I'm just going to toss these in sugar, and the last couple we'll add a little bit of, you want to turn those over, baby, the tongs. Just, it's okay, your hands are messy, it's okay. And the last ones, we're just going to add a little bit of cinnamon to this, and we'll have cinnamon twists. So you can see here, I'm just picking it up, flip some sugar on it. Doesn't have to be fancy, doesn't have to be perfect. I'm sure somebody's going to eat them regardless. They're going to get eaten. Thank you, honey. So we'll sugar these couple. And the last, not everybody likes cinnamon in my house, so just the last couple we'll put some cinnamon sugar on. You can see what these look like. My daughter would go ballistic if she could see what I'm doing to my camera. It's covered with grease. But this will give you an idea what they look like. So we're turning them over. And they just float to the top. And the dunner they get, the more they float. So it's kind of hard to turn them a little bit. I'm just going to keep them rolling a little bit. Make sure we get all of the sides. And when they start feeling pretty crispy, crunchy, we'll know they're ready to come out. Give them just a moment longer. What do you guys like on your donuts? I could have done the round ones that you cut out, and that would have been fun too. I've got some pictures on the Everyday Homemaking website, as well as it's in the gallery, as well as on the Everyday Homemaking page. So we're taking these out. And there's another one in the bottom here. And then we'll just put our last one in, right, Anna? You want to drop that last one in?
Library.
Okay, so now you have an idea here of what they look like. Here you can see we've got the sugar donuts, we've got the glazed donuts, which don't have the best glaze on them because I added powdered sugar after we were in the middle of glazing them, so it's kind of lumpy, but you know what, we'll eat them. These are cinnamon sugar. And then I have some for my neighbor back there. And while we were doing that, our rolls were rising. So now that our rolls have finished rising, we can pop those into the oven. And you can see that while we've been doing that, Which direction does this go? I've been tidying up the kitchen a little bit so we don't have a huge mess to clean up when we're done. Just a few things here and there. So take those opportunities to tidy up as you go along. Alright, remember we made our bread dough earlier, and there's little bits of some dough that are clinging to the edges here, mostly because I couldn't see while I was trying to get anything out because I was holding the bowl upside down away from the camera. But these little tiny bits here, those are the things that are going to kind of gum up your sink or gum up your drain if you knock them down the drain. So what I like to do, since this is a plastic bowl, is I like to let that harden. I'll usually leave it for an hour or two till it hardens up really hard. It'll actually get to be like little flakes that you can just touch and they'll flake off. You don't have to scrape them or anything. You can just push them with your nails and they'll scrape off. And I can just throw those into the trash then because they're hardened. So just to give you a little bit of information about my kitchen, for some of you who have asked, some of this stuff is going to go away when we finish some remodeling that we were doing. I use the term remodeling really loosely here. But this is my sifter, my flour sifter over here, and a second mixer, and that will go over here once I get some shelves built over here and can get those bowls off of the counter. So that'll just be mixers and mills over there, which will be really nice because then I'll have counter space here. And then we have dishes drying in the sink. Over here is, I have a pretty cluttered counter just because I don't have a lot of tons of cabinet space for the amount of kitchen tools that we have. Right now I'm letting that oil that we had cool off so that I can pour it into jars and save it for frying again later, because all I did was fry donuts in it, so I can fry something else in it again. So I'm saving that. I love my new stove. One of the things that I really like about it, it's an induction stove top, and one of the things I love about it is I cooked on the front burner. I moved it to the back burner, and the front burner is not hot. It's warm from the temperature of the pan itself, but the burner doesn't heat up. So I could wipe that down right away. I very rarely have anything, I've never yet had anything burnt onto it. Some crumbs there. Right now we have our dinner rolls in the oven. Let's see if I can turn this light on for you. Light, oven light. It's a new stove, I don't know where everything is. Oven light. So you can see our rolls in here rising up nicely. I tend to not use Pam and things like that in my pans because there's a propellant in there I just as soon not have. So I take a mixture of liquid lecithin and olive oil, mild olive oil, and I mix it together in a jar. You can see over here. And then I have a silicone brush that I use to brush on everything. And if I need a brownie pan or a cake pan or a bread pan or I'm making eggs, anything I'm doing that I want to be non-stick, that's what I'm going to use. I guess that's about all you need to see in my kitchen. I have gone ahead and tidied up pretty much everything in those few minutes that I've been waiting here. Everything hasn't taken very long. Those dinner rolls, when you're just doing them from start to finish, take an hour. Maybe if you're kind of new at the shaping, maybe take you an hour and 15 minutes from start to finish. So we did a little bit extra because we did the donuts, so it took a little bit longer. Here's my neighbor's donuts. Hopefully she likes these tomorrow for breakfast. But there's my kitchen. So the island that we've talked about, you've seen that in the pictures lately. My trash can in the middle of my kitchen. I love my drawers. Oh, see this here? This is a child-proof latch. My husband put this child-proof latch in when Callan was about a year old so that he wouldn't get into the knife drawer. So Jim had just finished putting this child-proof latch in, and we did this number here and made sure everything was good, and Callan walked right over and went and opened the drawer. And we said, "How did you do that?" Okay, I will tell you, I know that your knives aren't supposed to be stored that way. I'm working on getting a divider that will divide them more safely and so that they don't bump into each other. I know that's not the optimal way to store your knives, so do as I say, not as I do. But Callan learned in just a moment, instinctively, that if he pulled the drawer slightly to the right, it bypassed the childproof latch. So much for all of Jim's work that afternoon. Alright, so that's where my knives are. And by the way, you'll notice, if I'm standing right here, I can reach my stovetop, my oven, my microwave, my cabinets, my spice drawer, an extra in here, my spice drawer, something I did today. I can get to the refrigerator right here. The pot holders, salt and pepper right here. All the oils and things are in there. Cooking wines and other things, vinegars and things are up there. Mixing bowls are right in this cabinet next to it, and serving bowls as well. Then I just pivot on one foot and I can get to my pots and pans, which aren't too deeply stacked, so I can get to them. Go down one drawer and we get to the pressure cookers. I used my large pressure cooker, my 7-quart pressure cooker, I didn't use it in pressure cooker mode, but I used the pan itself to do the donuts because it's a nice heavy pan. So all of this is just pivoting. So you really want to have your kitchen set up so that everything is within reach if possible. One of my granddaughters one day when we were sitting here baking said, one of the coolest things about your kitchen, Grandma, is everything is right where you need it, because if I'm standing right here working at making cookies or baking bread, here's the drawer with the measuring things in it. Beneath it is the drawer with the measuring bowls, which are mostly dirty right now, but are in the dishwasher or the dish drainer. And then right behind me are my extra things for my mixing bowls and my mixers. So there you have it. Okay, we want the internal temperature of our rolls to be about between 190 and 200. So there's our rolls. I've checked the temperature. They're good to go. So we're going to take those out. Take one cooling rack, or you could use a cookie sheet or something, and I'll put it over top of them. Not hard. I don't want to smash them. I just want something to shield them. And then I'm going to flip the pan upside down so that they come out. So now they're out. And then I can take the other cooling rack and flip the whole thing right side up. There we go. Now they can cool. There you go. Some of you may be wondering what those rolls are like inside, so let's see if I can do this for you here backwards. Can't see around the camera. You can see if you take these apart, they pull apart so nice and easily. They're still really, really hot. You really want to let your bread cool at least 10 or 15 minutes before you try tearing it apart, but you can see how soft and fluffy those are inside. Those are the 60-minute dinner rolls from the Everyday Cooking Cookbook. We use that same dough to make our donuts. I make sweet rolls. We do all kinds of things with that dough, so a great all-purpose dough.